Thank you. All right, this is the last talk right before lunch. It will not be about retail, banking, and AI. It's going to be about Canada's history in AI and deep learning. So kind of a nationalistic story. All right, when I explain to my kids what a neural network is, this is what I draw up and say, well, input, you get a bunch of perception input, and you have this multi-layered network. And if those weights are set up just right, the dog neuron lights up, the cat one does not. Simple in concept, and so thought the computer scientists, going back all the way back to 1956 when chips were just coming onto the scene and a bunch of computer scientists, the field of computer science was born. You had a bunch of early computer scientists come together in 1956, and they put a little proposal together that said, you know, if you get a little grant and some postdocs, a couple of us together over a summer, we'll figure out this, how the brain works, and we'll codify it in chips. And that's what it looked like. Simple in concept, but very hard in practice. And from 56 till 86, it took 30 years for somebody to figure out an algorithm to set those weights. And that was Jeff, first at CMU, and then we were lucky to have him move to Toronto. He says that he was drawn here because the only people who took interest in his research were DARPA and other US military-affiliated funding sources, and he didn't feel like this technology should be used to kill people. So instead, he was attracted to Canada and attracted to some of the long-range research funding sources that were here. And it wasn't just Jeff. Along the way, Joshua Bengio and Sutton were also attracted for similar reasons to come here. Now, I wanted to talk to you about kind of our ecosystem and the Vector Institute that I'm a founder of, and what all of this means to our future. So one world of view that has people concerned is that AI will have profound impact on society and our people. There's studies that say, you know, as much as half the people will be displaced. And how do we prepare for this future? AI is going to change everything. And this has actually been well studied. There's a University of Oxford study that classified all 802 job classifications in the US Department of Labor, and the headline is that 47% of these jobs could disappear, could be fully automated away. Things like a home appraiser. There's 100,000 plus people doing home appraising, gone. As a category, just gone. Like, there's a lot of categories which just disappear, but a lot of industries like farming or manufacturing, clerical work, telesales, all of these things could also be automated. So that's a potential concern. It's something that regulators need to worry about. Just to give you a sense of like how the world changes, how the world adopts new technologies. Here's a picture of Fifth Avenue in 1900. A bunch of horses and buggies. There's one car there somewhere. I can't actually find it. And 13 years later, automobiles just proved to be a superior technology, and the whole world looked very different. There's still one horse and buggy on the left-hand side. Technology adoption is something that has been with us forever, but there's one constant change, which is that adoption has accelerated. So where automobiles or electricity, telephone, all of these things took generations to be broadly adopted, more recently in a fully connected world with global trading driving a lot of the adoption of technology that enhances productivity, you see this almost vertical adoption rate. So while things like the Industrial Revolution took in the order of a few generations to be fully immersed in society, an AGI or like some superior AI algorithm that solves one job function, that will just be adopted immediately, right? And so what's new is that in all these every time there's change, there's technological change, people are concerned about what this means. But all of these technologies, what they really do is they increase productivity, increase prosperity. So in the long run, we're all more prosperous and healthier and are better off. But it's those transition periods that matter. And what's happening with AI is, given the profound impact AI can have, there's going to be a very fast and significant adoption curve in front of us that a lot of people won't be prepared for. But we as a society, we certainly want to be prepared for it. So there's two ways that you can look at it. On one hand, you can have a negative outlook on it, and you don't want AI at all, and you'll be worried that half the jobs are displaced. But there are other studies that say that jurisdictions that lead in the development of AI, they can see a significant economic boost. So really the question is, which side of the table do you want to be at? Because the global impact of AI won't be evenly spread. The ability to capture that value that's being created won't be evenly spread. So that was the thinking around the Vector Institute. And the Vector Institute in Toronto it sits on solid foundations. It sits on the research that Jeff Hinton and his grad students did here over the years. And it sits on the foundation of all the people who've come through here. It's quite remarkable to think that the people who are leading the most advanced AI labs around the world have come through here. From Facebook to OpenAI, Google and DeepMind, Apple, they've all had a route through here. So throughout the world, people recognize that we've had this amazing impact. Our greatest export ever to the world is deep learning. And so there we have this brand permission to do something significant. But we certainly aren't capturing the value of that, because these people are trained here and go elsewhere to create that value. So when Jeff was one of them, after ImageNet, he and Ilya and Alex joined Google, and they were in a 4-year term there. And there's a bunch of other profs that followed them south of the border as well. But Jeff came back in the spring of 2016. That was the end of his 4-year earnout. And when he came back, as soon as he came back, my partner Jordan and I went up to him and said, hey, there's so much buzz around AI, but we recognize that the core is being hollowed out. And we don't have a credible ecosystem unless we have that core. And we need to build some critical mass to retain these individuals. So we have Jeff, Rich Zemmel, who's the academic director at Vector, Jordan and myself. We were kind of created this plan for taking those computer scientists out of University of Toronto, creating an independent institute that could be sufficiently funded, get public and private funding. And we were out pitching. And we included this guy, Ed Clark, who's the CEO of TD Bank and very connected to the federal and public government, to help us out with that effort. And his pitch was like, we're going to change the trajectory of our economy using this investment. So this is me pitching the provincial government. I quickly learned that they all wear suits. So this is bad choice of where, if you're ever asking for $50 million from the province or the feds, wear a suit. But regardless, they did fund us. First check came from them, and this is kind of the core set of scientists that put the idea together, and the founding team. This is in April of 2017, and this is what we look like now, 18 months later. This and this. Right, so we've gone from what was about 6 profs, but 3 of those profs were actually leaving to industry, and 31 grad students, to now having like 20 plus faculty and 264 researchers. So we're really, and it's still growing. So it's an order of magnitude larger in size, and you really need that at. You really need that level of scale to be able to have critical mass to attract the best. All right, so I am the founder of Layer 6, which was until recently an independent AI company in this area. So when I made the pitch to the federal government for the importance of Vector, I wasn't raising money for myself. I was raising money for the institute. But it was important for me to, as an entrepreneur that had an AI company, I needed to have access to that level of talent, right? If I wanted to have any global aspirations, we needed to have a credible institute here to work with and feed the talent to us. TD Bank acquired the business in January of this year. And it was actually, we were in the fall of last year, we were out fundraising. We were incredibly successful in getting business traction in Canada. We're serving 5 out of the 6 banks, and we were just in the path of going international and raising money to it. And when we went to Silicon Valley to pitch for money, people looked at our team, venture capitalists looked at our team and said, wow, you guys, this is a completely stacked team. We haven't seen people like this before. And their remark was, they said, a team like this couldn't be born in Silicon Valley. Talent like this just gets picked off by the tech majors. And, but they also said, cool, you're 90% scientists and 10% sales. We're going to flip that around. We're going to fund you so you can be 90% sales, 10% scientists. And you're going to open offices in New York and London and Singapore, and it'll be great. Might have been great for them, not really what I was in the store for. So at this time, we had a foreign tech company come and put an unsolicited offer in front of us. It was actually our 4th along the way. But it came at a time when we're fundraising, and this company kept coming at us, and the price of it inflated quite a bit. Now, I had previously sold companies to Microsoft and Yahoo and lived in Silicon Valley, so I didn't feel a need to do that again. And we turned to some of our customers here in Canada, and TD Bank stood up in a big way. Just to show you how quickly that whole deal came together, we met the CEO, Barrett, over a lunch on December 8th, and we had a signed term sheet from them by December 21st. We had a bunch of lawyers work through the holidays, including 20 people on a call on New Year's Eve till 1 a.m. And we had the deal signed by January 3rd. So quite amazing to have over a 3-week stretch be able to execute that. The venture capitalists, when they came back from their holiday, they called us up and said, okay, let's get this deal done. And we're like, oh, while you were out in Vail, we sold the business. So sorry, you're too slow. But TD has been a great place to work at. They've given us independence. We can really build up our research organization. A lot of people I talk to, they say, well, that's strange. Ending up at a bank is unexpected of somebody who's been working in technology all his life. And it is actually gratifying being able to attract a scale of real talent, be able to really grow Canada's leading deep learning research organization. Here's just a picture of some of the people we have. And there are some real banking problems that have societal value that we're working on. Things like increasing access to credit. There's a lot of small businesses or a lot of groups of society that don't have access to credit. And old models aren't very good at allowing certain subpopulations access to credit. Deep learning can do that much better. Fraud applications, banks manage fraud. The better we manage fraud, the more efficient the bank can be. 40% of Canadians have a banking relationship with TD Bank. I think if we can build a more efficient TD, we can uplift the whole country. Money laundering, big deal. A lot of money's laundered through Canada. It goes into funding terrorism and human trafficking, bad stuff. There's this amazing stat for financial confidence. If you ask people, are you confident in achieving your financial objectives? 79% will say no. 44% of Canadians go paycheck to paycheck. So if your paycheck was delayed by a week, 44% of Canadians would be in trouble. So it's actually quite amazing, to think what a huge section of society just kind of gets by. And I think that's probably going to increase. So there's a lot that an AI system can do to help improve financial literacy and help people manage their monies better. One thing that we discussed with Barrett prior to the acquisition was the character of TD and what TD really cared about. They care about societal benefits. So one area is in healthcare. And they don't want to just donate cash to hospitals. They want to be a principal in this thing. So they've let us, Google has its 20% time, our 20% time, which is probably about 30 or 40% of our time, is spent on medical applications. So we work on population health data. We work with radiologists on medical imaging. We're helping build or trying to seed a healthy ecosystem of biotechs in Canada through a bunch of different efforts. And that's been very gratifying to be able to do work that has direct health-related benefits. So that's it. That's my spiel about banking. But anyway, thank you very much for your time. I think I have a few minutes for Q&A.